Hello, everybody. My name is Myron Metcalf, the founder of the Mary Ann Key Book Club, with the support and partnership with Hennepin County Library, Friends of Hennepin County Library, the Star Tribune as well. We're looking forward to here very soon announcing our next book and some of the programming attached to that. We're really excited. But in the meantime, usually we bring you sort of an interview with an author. But for this video, I want to talk to you about a book that is very important to me and I hope is important to others as well. It's called The Barn, The Secret History of a Murder in Mississippi by Wright Thompson. There are a few reasons why this book is important to me. First off, Wright Thompson is a colleague and friend of mine, someone who's offered me some incredible advice over the years. He's worked at ESPN. He's written long form stories for a multitude of publications. But the idea of Emmett Till and the idea of sort of revisiting a piece of the infamous incident that unfolded when he was killed in Money, Mississippi in 1955, which really changed the trajectory of the civil rights movement. Just a boy accused of whistling at Carolyn Bryan, making a pass at her, whatever the words that were used at the time, which we learned was false later on. But an incredible tragedy in the history of this country. And this book takes a look at a very important piece of that incident, the barn where Emmett Till was killed. And the overall messaging of the book is sometimes we make assumptions based on things we believe we know and don't take a second look at some of the other factors that were involved. In this particular case, the barn is both symbolic, but it's also a really tangible piece of evidence in what happened to Emmett Till, the owners of the barn, complicit in what happened to Emmett Till, it being the crime scene and how it was sort of pushed to the backdrop of history in so many ways. But what Wright Thompson is conveying in this book is essentially that is how tragedy and everything attached to it, the racism and prejudice that fueled this great, terrible moment in American history and the death of Emmett Till, it's fueled by people not being willing to grapple with reality. And why I think this book is so important, it reveals sort of a new perspective on what happened to Emmett Till and those that were around him in America and Mississippi. Wright Thompson is a white man whose grandfather was involved with the local citizens councils, which were an organization that certainly undermined the civil rights movement. And so he's writing from that perspective as well. But it's also an element in a book that says there are more factors than just the individuals involved. And I think that has to be the message when it comes to the isms, if you will, when it comes to dealing with prejudice and racism and homophobia and misogyny and all these things. It's easy to look at the individuals. It's more difficult to look at the full picture, which this book does, and just reveals tales and things that I didn't know had happened in relation to Emmett Till. My father's from Mississippi. He was born not that long before Emmett Till was killed, and about 100 miles away from where this all happened. So that Mississippi is something I understand well through him. We took a trip to Mississippi this summer, and I thought about Emmett Till then, and just the idea of, was this an individual act? Because I think that I think that's a short-sighted view of how oppression and racism can really create a damaging wave across time. And I think this book challenges us to sort of rethink a story that we may believe we already knew. And I think that, to me, is the lesson there is a lot of times things happen in history and we say, well, I know that story, right? I know about Emmett Till. I know about Martin Luther King. I know about Malcolm X, all these other things. But I really think history's true gift is giving us the tools and knowledge to sort of continuously re-examine the things that we thought we knew. And the idea of being open to learning something that we did not know, learning something different, a different angle, a different perspective on whether it's an event or a figure in history that maybe changes how we see things for better or worse, or maybe even neither, but just the idea of expands how we have viewed those particular moments in history. So I think this book does a great job of that. It's The Barn by Wright Thompson, and it's just an incredible tale about how many people and just events were involved in the death of Emmett Till and the cover-up. How many people were complicit in what happened to Emmett Till? Because I think that is also the lesson in history. There are always individuals who are not named who are still guilty, and some of these tragic moments that have transpired. But I also think you have to have an open mind as you're examining these things that have unfolded throughout history. So that was the lesson for me. Never believing I know so much that I can't be re-educated, that I can't learn new things about a particular figure or event in history that I thought I knew well. This book did that for me. The Barn by Wright Thompson. I would recommend reading it. It's a great book. But even if you don't read this book, read books that challenge how you might see particular events throughout history that may change the way that you see things that you assumed you already knew front to back. This is Myron Metcalf with the Myron Key Book Club. Thank you for participating in our book club. Thank you to all our partners and supporters. And thank you for just being a part of this incredible opportunity that I've had the privilege of being a part of for the last 4 years.